Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Talking Apron, where we dish out smart, sustainable tips to make diabetes-friendly living a little bit easier and maybe a lot more fun. I'm your host, Bernardin. I'm a nutrition educator, lifestyle and diabetes coach, and I'm a fellow home cook that I'm trying to navigate wellness, in a splash of my real life. So today we're diving into one of the most underrated kitchen heroes, and that is mushrooms. Yes, those earthy little powerhouses that might be hanging out in your fridge drawer right now, waiting and wondering if you're ever going to use them. Mushrooms are more than just a tasty stir-fry add-in. They're loaded with nutrients, low in carbs, and they are brimming with flavor. So whether you're cooking for one, feeding a family, or just trying to eat in a way that supports your health goals, mushrooms are a smart and satisfying choice. So tie on an apron and let's talk fungi. We'll kick things off with the nutritional superpowers of mushrooms. And first up, we're talking calories, or rather, lack of them. Most mushrooms clock in at just 15 to 20 calories per cup, and that's relatively low. It makes it ideal if you're watching your weight or your blood sugar. They are very low in carbohydrates, about 2 to 3 grams per cup, and they're also low on the glycemic index, which means they won't spike your blood sugar. And that makes them a diabetes-friendly food that you can feel confident about eating. They are also packed with the B vitamins like riboflavin and niacin, which help your body turn food into energy. They have selenium, which is a powerful antioxidant that supports immune function and it fights inflammation. Then we have the potassium, and that helps us with our heart, or rather our blood pressure and muscle health. And then we have a bonus round. Some mushrooms, like maitake and shiitake, have beta-glucans, and that's a type of fiber that helps regulate blood sugar and cholesterol levels. Who doesn't want that? Plus, they're a natural source of vitamin D when exposed to sunlight. Yes, even mushrooms like their sunshine. So, all right, let's go ahead and head to the store. How do you pick the best mushrooms? Well, here are my top shopping tips. First, you're going to look for dry, firm mushrooms. Yeah, no squishy ones, no dark spots on them. You want smooth caps and no sliminess. Slimy equals spoiled. Now, if you're buying prepackaged, check the bottom of the container. No, don't flip it over. You're going to look inside it and see if there's pooling water or not, because that means the mushrooms are losing their water. Now, if you want to go gourmet, you're going to look for the shiitake or maitake, like I mentioned, oyster, or even lion's mane. Now, if you look at your cooking shows, you'll see that they are mentioned in a number of different programs. And you can find these at your local farmer's market or health food store. So now that you've bought them and they're fresh, how do you store them? Well, you either keep them in their original packaging or in a paper bag in the fridge. The paper helps to absorb some of that excess moisture, and it prevents going bad earlier or that sliminess. But you do want to avoid storing in plastic bags because that traps humidity and it does speed up the spoilage. You don't want to wash them until you're ready to use them. Mushrooms are like sponges. They soak up water and get rubbery if washed too soon. Storing them properly, most mushrooms will last up to a week, but honestly, once you know how to cook them right, you're just going to go ahead and cook them up and eat them as soon as you get them. And when we talk about cooking, well, how do we cook with mushrooms. And this is where their umami flavor and their magic really shines. So here are a few delicious and easy ways to cook mushrooms. The first is that simple saute. Clean the mushrooms with a damp paper towel or a soft brush. You're going to slice, and then you're going to saute over medium high heat in olive oil or butter. You want to give them space though, because crowding causes steaming, not browning. And when you let them sit, do not touch them, because they'll turn nice and brown and they'll caramelize if you don't touch them. Then you're just going to take a small spatula and flip them over to cook on the other side. When you've got the other side going, you'll add a little bit of garlic, maybe a little bit of thyme, or a splash of balsamic vinegar for your flavor kicks. Now, once those are cooked, you can serve them over eggs, you can put them on toast, or you can toss them into a salad. A second way to have your mushrooms is to have a mushroom and veggie stir fry. So you're going to be sauteing your mushrooms with bell peppers, zucchini, maybe some snap peas. And with the bell peppers, add some color. Try a red or a yellow. Once these are all cooked together, one of the things that's missing is a little bit of onion. I would start with the onion, add the bell peppers, then you're going to be adding the zucchini and the mushrooms and the snap peas. To finish it off, put a little bit of the coconut aminos or a low sodium soy sauce, and you can serve this easily over cauliflower rice or quinoa for a very fiber-rich dinner. Next up is creamy mushroom soup. And we are not talking our canned soup variety that we put over green beans at Thanksgiving. This is all without cream. You're going to saute some onions and garlic and then add in the mushrooms. You're going to add some low sodium veggie broth and you're going to simmer these. Then you're going to puree them with an immersion blender for a nice and creamy texture. Now, if you want to add a splash, you can add a splash of something like unsweetened almond milk, or even a little bit of coconut cream or coconut milk. This is a blood sugar friendly comfort food that you'll want on repeat, and oh so easy. The last up, we're going to talk about stuffed mushrooms. And usually baby Bella or white mushrooms are really good for this. So you're going to remove the stems. Now you keep the stems because you can use those and put those in a soup. Then you're going to have a mixture of sauteed spinach, garlic, a sprinkle of feta cheese, and some nutritional yeast, and maybe even adding some chopped walnuts for some good fat, a little bit of protein, and some good, already talked fat, protein, a little bit of carbs. Now this, you're going to stuff the baby Bella caps. You're going to put them on a fry pan, a baking sheet with a little bit of parchment paper. You're going to bake these until they're tender. Now sometimes I put just a tad of butter on the top, so when it's baking it oozes down and it'll give a little bit more fat to the mushroom. But this is a really fun appetizer, or it's a protein-rich snack. So why do mushrooms deserve a place on your plate? Well, let's bring it all home and we'll review what I just talked about. And why do I love mushrooms so much? One, they're versatile. Throw them in almost anything. Soups, salads, omelets, tacos. Done. They're nutrient dense and they're blood sugar stable. I always have them because a cup of mushrooms, and it is not going to bring my blood sugar up, and I won't need to dose with a lot of insulin because I'm a type 1 diabetic. So again, it's low in carbs, high in satisfaction. They're also pretty budget friendly. A little bit goes a long way. They can even replace meat in some dishes. There are some great meat-free loaves, like meatloaf, only they use mushrooms and walnuts and onions and a little bit of breadcrumbs. That's one I didn't talk about, which is kind of like a meatloaf. Now, they are savory, they are delicious, and perhaps most importantly for us here at the Talking Apron, they make eating healthy and flavorful all at the same time. So the next time you're wondering what to add to your grocery list to put in your meals for the week, grab a handful of mushrooms and let them be your flavorful sidekick. They're humble, but they've got a lot of power. Before we wrap up, here's your challenge. This week, buy a new mushroom variety, or just buy mushrooms if you haven't cooked them yet. Try in a miso broth, try in a chicken broth, toss into a veggie scramble, put them with some spinach, or put in that stir fry. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the podcast, leave a review. It helps others find this supportive, info-packed space. And if you want more videos, head over to YouTube, thetalkingapron.Ann Bernardin, and you'll see videos on all sorts of kitchen things. So until next time, keep nourishing yourself. One choice, one bite, one apron moment at a time. This is Ann. Have yourself a terrific week.